Jamie with her elephants.
I'm still with our big bull, who is so beautifully relaxed. He's giving us the most amazing images. Look at those eyes. There's something wrong with that one. And that wax build-up at the corner is relatively common. Hello, my boy. What have you got to say for yourself? Though they do often get that milky build-up in the corner of their eyes. I know. Hey, my boy. Oh, after an apple leaf. But he does have a puncture wound on the top of his trunk, and that eye does seem to be quite swollen. I don't think that he's terribly comfortable on that side of his face. And injuries like that, pretty common in elephant bulls. When they push and shove each other around, every now and again they get a bit too rough with each other, and they end up injuring or puncturing the skin. He's been such a lovely, polite gentleman. I wasn't going to try and get past him. We're a little bit too close. I think it would upset him. And it's a nice, peaceful moment. Look at those wrinkly elbows and legs. Okay, I think our bull's going to move off shortly, but luckily Tristan's got his elephants once again.
We do. They're all around us at the moment, and they seem to be moving very quickly. I don't know what's spooked them, but for some reason the whole herd has just decided to move as fast as possible, and it looks like they're going to go up to quarantine. And if they do, we're going to end up with some beautiful late afternoon sights of these elephants as they feed across quarantine in the late afternoon sunshine. Now, there's typical of any elephant herd is there's always got to be the obligatory misbehaving bull at the back of the herd, and so this is one of the young guys that's not really interested with keeping up too fast. The rest of the herd kind of moved off quite quickly, but he's just strolling and taking it very easy. He's on his sort of Saturday afternoon stroll, and you can see he's now just checking us out and making sure we're aware of his presence. Okay, I see you. Off you go. Now, sometimes you'll find with these bulls that they'll try and sort of show their manhood, and that's all just to try and intimidate us a little bit further. So you'll find it's a common trait amongst elephants where they get their genitals out to one another, and it's all, like I say, forms part of this sort of intimidating with size situation. So Shamama, you're asking if I've ever seen Ellies. I didn't catch that last part, Megs. If they were attacking another member of the herd, is that what you said? Shumming another member of the herd. Well, yes, I've seen them shumming a elephant from the herd, but I think it wasn't actually an elephant from that herd. So young bulls, often when they get pushed out of their herd, their natal herd, when they reach that sort of 12 to 14 years old, they sometimes try latch onto other herds, and then you'll find that they get completely shunned and completely pushed out, and they don't actually end up being part of the herd at all, and you'll find the females chase them off and push them away. Also, when you see the young males coming into that sort of maturity, and once they reach that 12 years old, even the adult females are going to end up doing it. Now I see Fang is lying down again. She's just standing up on the road, but she was lying down, and she seems to really like to lie down, which is quite strange for females. Generally females don't actually do that very often. They tend to stay standing so that their young ones are completely protected, but she just stood up again now. I wonder if she wasn't having a little dust bathe on the road and just found it much easier to to sit rather than standing. But the whole herd is out here, and we've got such cute little babies. Look at this. So cool. We're being very, very spoilt with elephants lately, and this herd is fast becoming one of my absolute favorite herds to spend time with. There are just so many elephants in it, and they all seem to have characters, and the fact that you've got this sort of iconic leader and lots of babies in the herd, it really is a very, very special group of elephants. You can see they're still covered in mud. Some of them have done a better job of dust bathing than others. This particular young bull has definitely not, cow. I don't know why I said that's a bull, but this is a cow. I don't know, she hasn't seemed to be doing too many dust bathing at all. So, Riti, you're wondering how the elephants keep themselves cool in the summer. Well, Riti, it's a lot harder. You can imagine when the temperatures start to push into almost 50 degrees and 120 degrees Fahrenheit, being a big, large grey animal like this is not easy at all. So what they'll do is they'll spend a lot of time in deep shade. So during the hot parts of the day, they try to find shade. They spend a lot more time around water where they'll come and drink, and they'll spray water on those ears and try and cool that blood in the ears a lot. You'll also find the movement of the ears a lot more substantial than what you see now. Most of these elephants this afternoon, you can see their ears are hardly moving. Every now and then you'll see a flutter of the ear, but it's really sort of null and void in comparison to the summer. The elephants' ears will just flap non-stop as they try and cool themselves down. And so that network of veins on the backside of the ears is vitally important to keeping their blood network very, very cool. And you'll find that they can process their entire sort of volume of blood within a series of 3 to 4 flaps, which means that they can cool the body by as much as 2 degrees centigrade in those 4 flaps, which is really very, very, very interesting indeed. Now, it's amazing just to watch how this herd responds. As soon as Fang starts moving, the rest of the herd moves. If she doesn't move, they all stay very, very still. But we just kind of have them walking all over on our left-hand side. It's such a beautiful picture watching this massive herd of elephants strolling through. Now I'm going to try and see if I can't get towards the front edge of the herd, and we can then watch them all kind of coming across quarantine clearings, because it's going to be spectacular when they do. What I'm trying to do is just try to get around them so that we don't end up pushing them in any way. Now it's just Fang that we need to worry about here in front, and then we'll have broken past them. And like I say, I was hoping they were going to come up here, so I'm really happy that they did, because it should be very, very pretty when they are on these open sections. So let's just get a little bit further forward, Jandre, before we swing around. Going to try and just loop around a little bit. So CJ, you're wondering how many different herds we follow. Well, CJ, we've got a few herds that we recognize. There's the short trunk herd that James had this morning, and they're a beautiful sort of group that we often get. Now this is going to be amazing. Hold on, I'm just going to get us into position before these elephants arrive in this big open clearing, which should be as good as it gets. So we have the short trunk herd, we have Fang's herd, and then there's another herd that's got a female with very long, very straight tusks. So those are the three that I kind of recognize. It's difficult because we do get lots of other elephants coming through, but from time to time we do sort of recognize some of them, and it's normally because they've got an identifying feature. So like Fang with this tusk that grows this odd way, but look at all these elephants coming into the light at the background there as well. It is so, so beautiful. You can see, look at that, they're all just striding right out in the open, and there's the rest of the herd in the background. And you can get a true sense of just how many elephants are actually here. Really, really cool. She's just stopping now. I wonder if she's going to sit down here. It looks like she almost might be sitting. What's wrong, Fang? Something doesn't seem right. She's busy. It looks like she actually has quite bad diarrhea, which is not a good sign. So what's wrong, girl? Something is... You see, she's now gone backwards. She just had some sort of discharge that came out of her rear end, and she's actually come back to sniff it now. I wonder if she's not got a bit of a tummy problem at the moment. It sometimes does happen where they get some sort of issue, and then she'll find that she's kind of just investigating to see what's going on. But it's very strange to see elephants having diarrhea. You do sometimes see it in the summer months when they eat vegetation that's got a lot of moisture in it. Do you have a wound maybe somewhere there that you're worried about, girl? Because she's busy spraying dust on it now. Wow, this is so cool. I wonder what's wrong. But you can actually see there's still some stuff coming out from underneath her tail that is of liquid nature, and I don't know what it is. I've honestly never seen that before. She looks healthy though. She doesn't look as though she's in any way in sort of got skinny or anything like that. And maybe just eaten something not quite right and it's taking its toll a little bit. But she definitely has got diarrhea at this stage. which is not ideal. You can see she's not comfortable even when she's trying to go to the toilet. She kind of is pushing her back legs down a little bit. Shame, girl, are you not feeling 100%? Like I say, it can happen that they do sometimes get a bit of diarrhea, but she's not in bad condition in any way, so I'm not worried about her. It's just that she's in probably a little bit of discomfort is all. Are you going to sit down there, girl? What's wrong? But you can see that stuff that is dripping down from underneath her tail there every now and then. And I can honestly say I've never seen this before, so I'm not sure what that could be a sign of. But there you can see a bit of mucus coming down. So she's obviously had a bit of diarrhea today, and that's causing her discomfort. Is that why you're trying to lie down every time? Now, she won't give birth, obviously, through that area, so it's not that she's pregnant or anything like that, in case some of you are wondering, but it's very, very odd. She's definitely not comfortable with whatever it is. Let's see if she's going to lie down. I just want to spend a bit of time with her and just see if she's not going to just settle down. She might find that she just wants to rest a little bit. And you can see the herd is not sure what's going on. Some of them have moved off a little bit. Others are standing and watching. I think they're wondering what is going on with their leader at the moment. She is the matriarch of this herd. You find normally when she moves, the rest do. And they all seem a bit kind of confused by it. And a lot of the females have actually come closer to where she is. I wonder if she's not communicating with them, telling them, I'm not quite right, I need to rest here. And the rest of them will slowly start to come this way. She looks like she's going to sit down again. So, John, you're wondering how old Fang is. Well, John, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. It's quite a difficult thing to age elephants correctly, and particularly sort of older elephants. She is a much older individual. She's not a young female, so I would say she's probably, if I had to guess, I would reckon that she's probably... Oh, what's wrong, girl? No, you're not feeling well. Shame. Seems like she's really not feeling it this afternoon. She's normally quite an active female, but you can see she's kind of just lying there now. And I wonder if she's not going to just spend the night relaxing. It's much like us as people. When we're not well, we don't feel like being too sort of mobile. You'll find sometimes she'll then just lie down like this and take it easy. So a lot of you are saying that you're very worried about her. Well, I don't think you need to be worried just yet. Like I say, it is not uncommon for an elephant to get diarrhea. They do sometimes get a little bit ill, and they find that they just need to rest a little bit. So I don't think we need to stress too much. I will let the relevant authorities also know that she's kind of displaying this kind of behavior, just in case there is something that they want to come and check on her. As I say, I'm not a vet, so I don't really know what signs could be if she is in distress, but she's definitely taking it very, very easy. And she's not pregnant, that's for sure. I can see that she doesn't have a very swollen sort of system, so it's not that she's going to be giving birth by the looks of it, but she definitely is trying to take it easy. And the interesting thing is the other elephants and their sort of response. At this stage, a lot of them have just spread out and are feeding, and they're not really moving too far away, but there's also not a massive concern. If she was really, really ill and she was really struggling, you would find all the other elephants would have probably come to her aid and come to defend her, whereas you can see they're still busy feeding. So I don't think it's anything to worry about just yet. Elephants are very perceptive to one another, and I've seen when an elephant has actually died, the herd comes right around them and comes to where that elephant is. And if you see them with sick young individuals, so sometimes when they give birth to babies that are not well, then you'll find the whole herd is there and protecting. So I don't think they're too stressed about it at this stage, but it is definitely interesting behavior. So, Francis, you're asking if she could be having a miscarriage. I suppose it is possible, but like I say, the discharge that we're seeing is coming out of her anal area and not out of where she would have a baby, so I don't think so. But there we go, she's up again. What's wrong, girl? Are you uncomfortable? Like I say, you never know. She might have eaten something. In fact, we were talking about poison apples this morning and that elephants can eat them, and maybe she's just had one too many of those, and that's what's affecting her bowels a little bit. But you can see she sniffs where she's been lying. You see that? So she's almost as though to work out what is actually coming out of me. I'm not quite sure. And she's talking a lot. She's lots of low grumbles as well. So It's interesting to see, and I'm going to spend time with her and just see how she does. But I hope she's okay. It is very concerning that she doesn't seem quite herself this afternoon. Right, well, while we kind of sit with Fang and see how she does and how the rest of the herd responds, let's go across to James, who I believe has found some elephants of his own.
Found some elephants. I'm not sure if it's a herd or if it's just a few bulls. But they are, well, slightly closer than we expected. There's one that you can see there. And there are a few more around him. The one that we were coming towards is actually to the left of where you're looking now. That's him there. And we're about 80 meters from him. And we came up onto this termite mound, and suddenly there were a whole lot more the other side of the mound. Now, we're just going to listen to what Rex has to say about whether or not we can stay here. We should be okay. But if that one that you're looking at now keeps coming in that direction, I think we might have to beat a hasty retreat. Yeah, there's a tiny little calf here. There's a very little one. You see it? Just through there. I think that we might have to extract from here. Because we don't want them to come grazing all the way up to this mound and discover us here, and then they'll get a big fright. There's another cow there. This is really exhilarating stuff. If they were all that side of the mound, then I would be tempted to stay here. I'm just going to quickly ask Rex. Rex, all right? Okay, he says we can stay, it's fine. Because we're up top here, so we should be fine. Oh dear, okay, we're going to go to Jamie up back here. He's not working, so let's head across to Jamie.
We are on the southern boundary of Cheetah Plains, searching to see whether or not we can find Q again. Quarantine, the dominant male leopard in this area. Me Fergus's first time seeing Quarantine. Or Quarras, as he was once affectionately termed by one of the other guides. We're still laughing at that. Quarras! Quarras, my boy! We're gonna go find Quarantine. He's apparently disappeared off into this drainage line. It's gonna be tricky. Oh, I didn't know there was a road here. Shall we? It doesn't really look like a road. Road less travelled? Always take the road less travelled. That worked out so well for us this morning. Resulted in a tree. That's definitely a road of sorts. There we go. It's a junction. That's so you can turn left and right, Ferg. Okay, cool. I have no idea what this road is called. I don't think I've ever driven on it. Which is saying something, because I'm pretty sure I've driven every other road on our traverse area. Oh no, I have. I've just come the other way. Well, it's a good place to start our search for Quarantine. And failing that, there are 3 male lions. James had one of them this morning on the sunrise safari. But as it starts to get dark, there's 3 male lions on Mala Mala, which is just to the south of Cheetah Plains. So hopefully they'll show up towards the end of the sunset safari for Catterday. We've had such an elephant-filled Catterday. Shame, I hope Fang's okay. Sounds as though she's really not feeling particularly well. Ah, well, whether or not we find Quarantine or the lions on Mala Mala, Brent is fulfilling a Catterday promise.
Well, there we go. We're back in Kenya with an exquisite tipple skirchia Maasai giraffe. But wait, it's Saturday.
Okay, we're still here. Sorry about that crash cut. I'm not going to worry too much about the technical difficulties at the moment. We're going to stay on this mound for now. And we're just having the most wonderful time watching them feed past us. Now, a termite mound can give a slightly false sense of security. But unless an elephant really doesn't like you, then there's no reason to suspect that these ones, even if they became aware of us, would be that distressed by us. We should be fine, so we're just going to stay right here and let them graze and browse quietly past us. Now, if you're struggling, dear, Rexon unfortunately seems to have some kind of consumptive cough, and so he keeps coughing. I know you might not be able to hear me very well, but it's important that we just whisper quietly. There is almost no wind at all at the moment, and it's completely still up here, and it is amazing how being in the presence of these animals, so close by, makes one feel so very much alive. You can hear everything around you. You can feel the slightest breeze because you're trying to think, where's the wind blowing? You can smell the slight change in smell. You can hear even oxpeckers calling miles away from here. Everything is just that much more kind of crystalline, crystal clear. And Craig, unfortunately, is very, very uncomfortable right now. Not because of the elephants, but because he's kneeling on a rock-hard termite mound. I don't think there are more than 4 or 5 elephants here. I'm just listening to where there might be some others, but I think it's only the 4 or 5. 2 groups. This is very special. I don't know, I'm just sorry we don't have better sound for you, because to hear the sounds of these elephants feeding, do you know who that is? That looks like the tusk, it's the half-trunk herd, everybody. We know her. That's the half-trunk matriarch in front of us there. So she's quite a young cow with a small baby. And the small baby is hidden in amongst all of those leaves there. I think she may have joined up with another 1 or 2, because there are definitely at least 5 animals here. There's a young bull down there, which I think Craig is going to struggle to show you, and then the rest of the little herd just further up to the north of where we're sitting now. You right, Craig? Do you need semi? Okay, when you need to link, or when you get tired, let me know, and I will prevail upon Megan to link. Just give me a nod with your gangster hat. You see the little one? And all around the doves calling their evening song. I can even hear, if you can believe it, it's probably a wedding going on. I don't know, 15 kilometers away as the crow flies in Dixie, which is the community just nearby. The air's got thin now. You see she stopped feeding. She's become aware of us. There we go. She's picked us up. She's going to move away. There we go. That's beautiful. She's become aware. She's not too worried. And now she's moving off. Okay, we're going to go across to the Mara, where Brent has yet again found a bevy of predators.
Welcome back to Kenya. Sorry about that. Remember, you are on a live African safari, so we do have some technical problems from time to time. Unfortunately, that was not so technical. It's just some dead batteries. They are replaced, and isn't this an absolutely exquisite scene coming to you from the Mara Triangle in Kenya? We are with the Angama Pride. Isn't it gorgeous? The giraffe is still keeping a close eye on the napping lionesses, and in the distance you will see what I'm a little bit worried about, but probably not as worried as Dave, since he's got to look after the cameras. That is a very large storm heading in our general direction, and I can speak from experience that these storms can be quite hectic, and that is actually where our rain comes from mostly when we get it. Oh, we got a bit of a movement on the right-hand lioness. There she is. She's just popped her ears up. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us. This is live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. No, just a casual neck stretch before popping down to sleep. There we go, a little bit of a head lift. Perusing to see if there are any snacks about. And this pride at this time of the year, while the wildebeest aren't here, their favourite snack is an ingiri. Do you know what an ingiri is, Dave?
Thompson?
No. One more guess. Yes, well done, Dave. It is indeed a pig. It is a warthog. And the Ngama Pride seem to specialise in taking down poor pigs in the long grass. And it looks like they're a bit more well-fed than the last time we saw them. You can see the giraffe disappearing in the background. And you can see the amount of flies that are here. Now, we've seen our Kruger animals get quite upset with flies, and these guys seem to have mastered the art of a meditation, because the flies don't seem to bother them nearly as much. And look at them all in her nostril. Oh dear, I'd be smacking myself silly if that was me. Very zen lioness. Maybe she does yoga. Probably not. Well, Deborah, I couldn't agree with you more. Deborah is talking about the scenery, Dave. So, I mean, it is absolutely stunning. Now, the word, the Mara, which is a Maasai word for this area, of course, since it is the Maasai Mara, is basically means dotted or speckled, referring to these trees growing like that. So, very speckled scenery, or Mara scenery. And it is possibly one of the most exquisite areas to view wildlife in the world. You just have these absolutely magnificent backdrops, including a large storm that's getting closer. Now, the last time I got stuck in a storm, to keep coming across, I was somewhere over there, probably about 30 kilometers away, where the rain is about to start falling near that patch of sunlight, and it was quite a big storm. This one looks to be just as big. I don't think it's going to go to that area. I actually think it's going to come straight on towards us, but I think at the moment, as long as there's sunshine over there, that's where Musiara Gate is. As soon as the rain starts getting there, I know we've got to pack up and do a Ferrari safari up the Ololo escarpment to escape getting wet. That is a very contented looking lioness there. Oh, what's the giraffe spotted next? Giraffe, what are you going to lead us on to next? Nothing? You're just marching about? Now, quite often when you see giraffe in the Mara, it looks like they're eating grass, but of course we know that they don't eat grass. They're actually feeding on small balanites and small acacias and other small bushes that are actually obscured for us by the long grass. And well, we're going to leave the lazy lines and start making our way back up the Olololo escarpment. But while we do that, we're going to go across to Jamie, who's with one of her most favourite animals of all.
Absolutely one of my favourite animals of all, because they are such wonderfully intelligent creatures. we've got a hyena taking a snooze on the open area of Cheetah Plains, sniffing delicately the wonderfully enticing scent of rotting buffalo that is wafting across the plains as we speak, which to a hyena must smell like the delicious scent of happiness's cooking, wafting across quarantine clearings. Unfortunately for them, there's no chance of a meal just yet, because there's 3 male lions feeding off said buffalo, and a hyena is nothing if not smart, and they're definitely not going to take that chance. There's actually 2, that's why I'm saying they. There's the second one. It's just popped out. Hello. Here we go. We don't often see we don't often see hyena on Cheetah Plains, so it's always pleasant when we do. There's one without a tail that we see every now and again. Once, on a very memorable occasion, walking very close to Tingana. And then, it is obviously a meeting of the Scavengers. Well, there is a group of white-backed, they all look like white-backed from here, white-backed vultures waiting patiently for their turn at the carcass. Hunched over in a very characteristic position. So now we've got to hope. I don't know how much of that buffalo is left. So now we've got to hope that, well, the male lions decide to come in this direction if they want to drink, or perhaps if they want to roar a few times. What amazes me is the fact that this morning, early this morning, we heard those male lions roaring very close to our camp. At least one of them, because there's 3 of them there, therefore one roaring. There were 2 roaring, so one of them has to have arrived here. Now, they've covered an enormous amount of distance first thing this morning. Vultures, of course, don't have to walk. They will cover far greater distances by soaring. I'm sure you're all wondering what's happening with Tristan and his Ellies. Let's go and find out from him.
Well, the rest of the herd has disappeared and Fang is all by herself and is still not looking well. She's now all of a sudden just seemed to perk up, but she's been sitting in the exact same spot the entire time we've been standing here and has been kind of up and down and lying down and really hasn't looked great. But now all of a sudden she's up and moving as though nothing is wrong. So I'm not sure what's going on with her at the moment, but definitely is not 100%, and it is concerning. I don't like seeing animals in distress in any way, and it worries me a little bit because she is such a huge part of this whole Safari Live family, and I know many of you have watched her many times, and she's such a beautiful animal that it can be a bit distressing, and I'm, like I say, a bit concerned about her, and we've definitely let everybody know that should know that there is this sort of symptoms playing out, and we'll see what they say, because this time of the year you can sometimes get sort of anthrax that can come out because of the spores that are hidden in the ground, and it sometimes does happen with an elephant getting it, so you can see it from time to time, but I don't know if it's that. She doesn't seem that bad, but it's still not 100%, that's for sure. Now I'm going to try and just get way ahead of her and then turn off. She seems all of a sudden to be quite sprightly though. Could eat to make her tummy better. Well, it's unlike humans where they can just kind of go and get something to sort of nibble on or some sort of food item. It really is not that easy for them, so you'll find that sometimes they just try and get plain leaves or grass. They'll also sometimes even eat soil. There's microbes in soil and varying sort of nutrients that they don't get from a lot of other things that can help. But isn't that beautiful with the sort of sunset in the background? That's very pretty. She all of a sudden seems much better though. She seems to be moving a lot more. At one point she almost looked a bit wobbly on her feet, but now she seems to be striding and is almost back to her sort of normal confident self, which is quite something. Now I'm going to just try and reposition us again because of the light that we've got on her over her shoulder there. It's very pretty. Now the rest of her herd just disappeared off into this area here on our left hand side, so it's almost like she's realized the herd has now drifted away and that she's going to try and catch up with them. But there's another young bull over here, so let's see how this sort of interaction goes. He's coming back towards where she is. There's been lots of grumbles that have been going on, and she's been calling quite a bit, and I wonder if the herd might not turn and come back towards where she is. But here we go. So she's just under the marula tree at the moment. Hello, boy. Are you going to go and see what's going on with Fang? So Izzy, you're wondering how big is Fang's herd in numbers. Well, earlier I was trying to count them, and I was busy doing it when Fang unfortunately started to show that she wasn't well. So I didn't get it the whole way, but I think there should be around just over 30 of them in that herd. So the next time we see the whole herd out in the open, we'll have to count them for you to make 100% sure, but somewhere around there. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that Fang wasn't feeling very well, that would be one of the most beautiful pictures ever. The two sort of elephants under that sunset in a big marula tree. It really is a very special picture. Now let's see the interaction between these two. Jeandre, I'm going to try and just go forward a little bit so that you don't have that bush in your way. Now you see he's busy sniffing her as well, just trying to see and work out. And you can actually, there's a really cool picture of just how big Fang actually is. Look at her size. The male's on the left, and that's not a particularly young male. That male's probably already in his 20s. He's a big boy, but you can see she's a similar sort of size. And look how he's smelling her. Now she is dribbling from... look at that. That's interesting. Maybe she is having a miscarriage. You see, look, she's dribbling from... There we go. And he's busy smelling it. And it's a clear liquid. There we go. You can see. I wonder if there's a little bit of blood in there as well. Maybe she is having a miscarriage. It's possible. Earlier it looked like it was coming from below her tail, but she's definitely dribbling from there. And you can see, look, she's now smelling where she's just urinated or dribbled from. And now she's picking up dust, and it looks like she might spray it under her tummy. You see that? This is the most interesting behavior. I have never in my life witnessed it before, and I honestly cannot tell you what it could be. It really is quite strange. What is wrong, girl? What is going on? She's not pregnant enough to be giving birth, that's for sure. The male seems to be sniffing it and becoming almost aroused by this all, which is quite strange. And look at the dust, the gold dust as well. Like I say, if it wasn't for the fact that the sort of symptoms are worrying and that she looks a little uncomfortable, it would be probably one of the most magical elephant scenes I've had in a long time. There's that setting sun in the background. But she seems like she's okay now. She's definitely walking a lot better than what she was earlier. Let's see. It would be a massive turnout for the book. But there you go. See, it's still leaking from her anal area as well. I'm not 100% sure what is going on with her. The bull is definitely intrigued by her as well. You see, look how he's smelling wherever she's discharged. What's going on? Like I said, I have no idea, but it is slightly concerning to say the least. We often become so vested in these animals, and it's sometimes very difficult to watch these kind of things where you see an animal that's not quite right and you can't understand what's going on. Obviously we can't speak to them and they can't speak to us, and it becomes very difficult to know what actually is going through that elephant's mind, or whether or not this could be something that is very serious. And like I say, I'm not a vet, so for me I don't know if those kind of symptoms are anything to worry about, or if it's just something that will pass. And with her, I've just never seen it before, and that's where it becomes a bit worrying. So H. Macy, you say if something happens to the matriarch, is there a next in line? Yes, there will most definitely be. So there will be another senior female that will lead the herd around and take her around and show what goes on, and she will have learned from that matriarch. So it will definitely happen that another one will pull into it and fill into that area. So you'll see that that's not too much of a stress for the herd. Obviously the herd would go through a period of quite a lot of stress just in that situation where they lost the matriarch, because it'll be a massive change for them and they rely quite heavily on the matriarch at times. And so it will definitely be a little bit of a stressful period, but there will be another female that will take over and become the matriarch of that particular herd. Now, if they go into this thicket on the left, I'm going to leave her there because I don't want to go crashing around her and stressing her any more than she is. The rest of the herd is just feeding off to our left here. They're all in the thicket here, so she's going back to where the herd is, which is where she needs to be, particularly if she's not feeling well. You don't want her to be sort of harassed by any sort of predator. And if she goes back into the herd section and it's not very sort of, and it gets too thick, I'm going to leave her there and let her just carry on with her day. I don't want to stress her in any way. But the bull is kind of right behind her the whole time. He's just on my left-hand side here, and so is she. And the rest of the herd is just behind them. I can actually see most of the herd behind them as we speak. So I'm just going to go around. There we go. It's okay, girl. It's okay. What's wrong? She's come right up next to the side of the car, so I'm just getting quite quiet because I don't want her to feel like we're challenging her in any way. But she's definitely been leaking quite a bit all afternoon because she's got lots of fluid. It almost looks like a male in must. But isn't this incredible? We've got her in front, the young male to our left, who's going to come into picture now. Okay, guys. I'm really not sure what's going on with her. Shame, my girl, you're not feeling well. I'm trying to see if there isn't maybe a wound somewhere on her, but I can't see now. She is, like I say, the bull is right here as well, so you just behave yourself because you're being naughty chasing her. Stop chasing her around. And he's far too young to mate, so it's not one we have to worry about. But she's now coming around the back of us. So she's now going back towards her herd, which is actually the best thing that could have happened. I'm quite glad that she's come around this side and she can then maybe head back towards where her herd is. Now what could have happened as well is she might have had a miscarriage earlier, and this is just the body's response now. So we're just seeing the back end of it, and that's why she's still a little bit sort of... No, leave her alone, you naughty bull. You can see she's trying to get away from the bull elephant, and she almost comes to us every time. Leave her. No, I don't know what his problem is. Leave her alone. Come on. It's okay, my girl. She is right next to us as well now. They're just kind of doing this sort of circular motion around us at this stage, and I actually have no idea why. Maybe he's just really interested in what's wrong with her, but this is the most unbelievable thing. To have these elephants kind of just going circular motions around us really is super interesting. It's okay, girl. She's dribbling again. Leave her alone. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. See, he's smelling her urine again. So he's trying to see if she's possibly in heat. Look, there we go. He's smelling on the ground. You can see there. You see he's got his trunk down and sniffing where she just dribbled. Now I wonder if she's... Maybe she's coming into heat as well. I don't know. Girl, what's going on? But I feel like we are part of this whole thing now. They are really kind of on both sides of us at the moment. Are you okay, my girl? This is one of the most incredible interactions I've ever had with an elephant. We've got, like I say, a bull on one side, a female on the other, and they are within meters of this car. They are really, I would say, a meter on either side, and they are actually throwing dust all over themselves, and we are being covered in it. This is so interesting. But I'm just glad that she's able to use us almost as a barrier between him and her at this stage. I just don't want him to harass her too much. I know that's a selfish thing to say, and we shouldn't be like that, but I also don't want to move too much. They both are so close to us at the moment that any sort of movement might cause a bit of a fluster amongst them, and I don't want her to feel any more stressed than she probably already is. The interesting part about all of this is I'm watching her temporal glands, and the entire time we've been with her, her temporal glands are not leaking, which means that she's not emotionally stressed. So that tells me that she maybe knows what's going on with her, and she's been through this before, and that she's not actually showing a visible sort of stress sign, which is really interesting. What's wrong, my girl? Are you okay? I can honestly say this is one of the most special moments that I have ever been in. To sit with a female that is this close. Female elephants generally are not this relaxed around you and allow you to get this close. So for her to sit as close as she is right now, and for her to be in this sort of more compromised state and to be able to spend time right next to her, it is a feeling that I can't really describe to you. And I don't know about any of you, but maybe this is a good time for some of you to have a one-word tweet as to what you would feel if you were in this situation and you had this beautiful female right next to you and sort of didn't know what was going on. I think my one word would be just uncertainty. While this is the most amazing thing I've experienced, it's just I'm so uncertain as to what's going on. I don't know what her issue is. But I am so intrigued by this whole process, as well as kind of a bit worried, really, to be honest with you. And so a lot of you are wondering if she's asking us for help. Well, no, she's not asking us for help. She's just using us as a barrier. You see, every time the bull moves, she moves with him. So she's coming around, and we almost like this little barrier between her and the male itself. So she's using us much like she would use a tree in this essence. So she's not asking us for help. Earlier when we were parked with her, she didn't come close to us at all. So I'm trying not to move too much. So if I'm sitting at an awkward angle and not looking the right way, I do apologize. She's just so close that if I shift in my seat, I don't want to give her a fright. But I don't think she's asking us for help. She's not putting her trunk out towards us in any way. She's not in any way being sort of showing any visual cues other than that she's just watching the male. So where the male moves, she moves the opposite of that. I go, what's going on? You are a very special elephant, you know that. Sure, this is one of the most amazing experiences I've ever been a part of. Wow. Are you okay? This is incredible. Sometimes just to sit quietly next to them is probably more value right now than me going and talking. So I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit and just listen to the herd. I'm hoping they're going to start talking to one another because the herd is approaching slowly. She's definitely not emotionally charged because, like I say, she wouldn't be right near us like this. She also would be leaking heavily from that temporal gland, which she's not. So I have no idea what's going on with her. Look how she's curled her trunk up. Oh, she's just dropped it now, but she had curled it up next to her. See, now the male's coming around again. So you see now she moves to the other side of us again. But look at her sun sort of dust bathing. And this amount of dust bathing is also uncommon for an elephant. She's been doing it all afternoon. So I don't know quite what the situation is. Now the male's coming around again. You just leave her alone. Stop it now. It almost looks like a female that's in must in a way. You can see dribbling again. What's going on? Are you worried about this? Again. Now go to your herd. The rest of the females are there. They'll look after you. Come on. Off you go. Go to your herd. Okay. You two just behave yourselves now. But that is about as close as it will ever get to a female elephant. And okay, you can't sit here. Don't sit here, Michael. I'm just trying to let her have sort of her space and not move around too much. It's the male that's causing her distress at this stage because he's just following her all over the place. But they really are, like I say, right around us at the moment. You stay there. Behave yourself. Stop being naughty. Now, the reason why I'm not worried about him giving us too much trouble is because he's a young male. So if I shout at him and give him a bit of a talking to, he will go away because he is still concerned about us. You can see every now and then he gets sort of a bit flustered by the fact that I'm here. And so I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about her feeling that she's being too stressed out by all of this, but she's definitely using us like she would use a tree. It's the exact same process. Yes, go that way. There we go. That's it. Well done. Clever girl. There we go. There's the rest of your herd. Go and spend time with them. They'll look after you. There we go. Now the bull's on his way towards her, but the rest of the herd is there, and I'm hoping the other females don't tolerate this bull's nonsense and they push him away a little bit. Wow, what an amazing experience that was. I honestly can't tell you how incredible that was. That is probably one of the most special sightings I have ever had in my life. I have never, ever, ever experienced anything like that. That was unbelievable. But we're going to try and just see what plays out here, and I'm going to try and see if we can follow them a little bit. We'll put the infrared lights on so we don't disturb them, and while we do that, it's time for Brent to say his goodbyes. So let's go across all the way to the Mara for Brent to say goodbye.
Well, we're going to just say a quick goodbye with an approaching storm and a rainbow and a shepherd's tree out here in the Masai Mara. Look at those incredible clouds. And I know you are busy witnessing a really fascinating scene with Tristan at the moment, and I do hope Fang is doing better. But we just could not resist to show you this incredible scenery before we dashed up the hill. So one last look. There we go. Shepherd's tree, rainbow, and the Masai Mara. So from Dangerous Dave and myself, we will hopefully see you bright and early tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. So last look and toodles, and back to Tristan.
I'm not Tristan, but I don't mind being mistaken for Tristan. Fergus and I were just admiring the beautiful, beautiful views. And we're going back towards those lions. Hopefully, they decide to make an appearance, but we'll stop for a second and take in the atmosphere of the open area of Cheetah Plains. Those vultures have gone off the tree. Okay, we're not taking in the atmosphere anymore. If the vultures have gone off the tree, would that mean that the lions have come away from the carcass? They appear to be moving in. Let's go and find out. Let's go see where those hyenas have gone. Because if they're gone as well, they went completely flat in very long grass, and they're not nearly as relaxed as the Djuma hyenas. No, you're still there. And there's still a vulture in the tree. So maybe not. Hello. I'm going to give them a little bit of extra space. So the lions are behind in that sort of green growth over there. Oh, sorry. Fergus, I wasn't watching what you were pointing at. I'm very sorry. The lions are somewhere over there. Far that side. I can't see them. I don't think there's any way that we're going to get a view of them, unfortunately. For our new viewers, that is an area that we cannot drive on. So we are stuck where we are for now. But perhaps as the sun starts to go down... Oh, is that a lion? No, that's just leaves. Isn't it? No, it's just leaves. I got hopeful there for a second. I'm hoping the lions might roar. But it doesn't seem... They're probably full of buffalo. Okay, there's one vulture. Where's that second hyena gone? Did she trot off? Looks like she might have. The other one's over there. Not looking as though it's going to go anywhere in any great hurry. And just while we're looking at a very flat hyena, or at least the back of a very flat hyena. I'm sure Tristan's touched on this, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that behavior before with elephants and with buffalo. When a female goes into labor, or if Tristan's correct and she is miscarrying, the hormones are confusing the males. They confuse it for an estrus hormone. And they think that the female's ready to mate when she's giving birth. And that's often why herd animals move off on their own to give birth. Oh, big yawn from the hyena. It's something completely different for them, of course. They have their own struggles. Since of all of the animals out here, the spotted hyena probably has the most unusual reproductive tract. And back to sleep. I think that's what it is. We see it with the impala as well. When the females are pregnant, the impala rams go into a false rut. Beautiful. But it is getting dark, which means I'm sure that Bushwalk is well on their way to making it back to the safety of camp.
We are making our way back to the safety of camp, everybody, but there's a real kind of, there's a strange atmosphere around, given the sighting you've just had. It's down here. That Fang's herd is in that area there. The Bushbrae site is just down there. So Tristan is waiting down there. And I've got to tell you, it's taken us about 20 minutes to get around the herd. They kept coming slowly through the bush here and moving down towards her. And there's an eerie atmosphere around the place because perhaps they are feeling stressed out, sad, melancholy, worried, who knows. Maybe it's entirely human psychology because I've been listening to what's been happening to Fang. Maybe it's just my own feelings that I'm now projecting onto the general atmosphere around me. But there does seem to be a slight eeriness about the atmosphere. Right, well, there is the sliver of the moon. And the sliver of the moon indicates the dark phase of the moon in May is nearly over, which means that the impala mating is all but done. And before it gets too dark, I'm going to hand you back to Tristan. I think he's still with the elephants, but let's go and find out what those elephants are going to do in the darkness.
We are still with the elephants because the saga is still playing out. She's still right near us. And the more I watch her, the more I don't think she's sick. The more I think it's something to do with birthing or miscarriage or one of those two. Maybe she's just had maybe she has a very small calf inside there that we just haven't seen that she's that heavily pregnant. I don't know. But there's definitely... It looks like that. When she pushes her back legs out and it looks like she's prepping to give birth. The elephant that I've seen give birth, she stood in the exact same way as that this elephant was standing, and sort of the behavior is not quite the same, but it's very similar. So I would imagine if it's a miscarriage, there would be some sort of pain involved and some sort of confusion, and that's maybe leading to some of the behavior that we're seeing. But the more I watch her, the more it looks like a birthing thing more than an actual that she's sick or ill. Because you see, she stretches her legs, and they often do that when they birth so that the distance between where they give birth and the baby falling to the ground is so much less. So that could be sort of the signs that they do that. And she's not wobbly on her feet. She's not, like I say, secreting from the temporal glands. There's no mucus coming out of her mouth or out of her trunk. So the only thing I can think is that there's some sort of labor-induced issue going on. Now, I do apologize for the aerial, but she literally is standing so close to us that I can't move at all, and she's moving around in circles, and so we will see a sort of sign of her coming back around, and the poles will all be out of the way. She was standing right next to us, but then the naughty bull came down again. Now, are you going to feed? That's good news if you do start feeding. But this is... So... I know Lou is reminding me about the fact that we saw the placenta, and I've been thinking about it the whole time, but that wasn't this herd. So I saw that herd in the morning on Bushwalk, and it wasn't Fang's herd, although I didn't see Fang, so it might have been her herd, and maybe it is her. Maybe she's going through this sort of process where she's having a miscarriage, and that's that placenta that we've been finding, and over the last 2 days this is what's been going on. It could very well be this whole saga is playing out from already 3 days ago. It is the most interesting thing that I've ever seen when it comes to elephants, and it just goes to show you how little we actually understand about them. So you can see she's just kind of going behind the vehicle, and like I say, she's right behind us, and I don't want to stress her in any way, and I don't want to make her feel like she has to move. It's better that she stays where she needs to be, and we kind of leave her where she is. You can see the rest of the herd is right here in front of me at the moment, so that's fine. The rest of the herd is here and they are around. Now our naughty bull is back again. You stay where you are. Why are you coming back again? Enough now, stop it. Now she's coming back to this side. My girl, what's going on? So she's right next to the car again because the bull is just coming towards her. What's going on, girl? Are you okay, my girl? I think the bull is more just curious than anything else. He's a young male and he probably doesn't quite know what's going on himself. And so he's probably just sniffing because there's all kinds of smells going on here. Now, let me just, get out of the way there, Jean-Andre, so you can see what I was talking about. You see how she keeps squatting a little bit? And he's smelling around her backside as well. What's going on between the two of you? And back to the game that we were playing earlier where they go round and round us again. Although it seems like a young male's now going to get involved too. I honestly have no idea what is going on with this elephant and what the rest of the herd is responding to, but there's definitely a whole bunch of communication happening here that we have no idea about, and we are just being absolutely privileged to be a part of this and to actually witness this. This is, without a doubt, this will always be my most memorable elephant sighting. So Vern, you're wondering if a herd would sense if something was wrong. Most definitely. I've seen it with elephants before when as soon as something is wrong, the herd most definitely senses there's an issue and they all come running to the aid, particularly in a case where you've got the matriarch like this that is in some sort of distress. So they would then feel like if there was a problem that they should come and defend her. Now you also stop it now. What is wrong with the young bulls this afternoon? You can see I've got another one here that's starting. Yes, go. You're being naughty now. So the rest of the herd would definitely have that sense of there's a problem and they would come and try and help out. You can see the herd itself is actually quite relaxed. They're not moving around too much. They're all sitting, feeding. And so that's why I think it's something to do with a birthing situation, because they would have all seen this before. If a female is going to give birth, they've all been through it. There's all babies inside here and they know the discomfort and the stress that the female will go through during that process. And so that's maybe why the rest of the herd is not responding in any way whatsoever. They're all just feeding. Sorry, there's a bit of dust from all of the elephants throwing dust around. And so the rest of them are just feeding and taking it very easy. Now they're walking because Fang has gone all the way around and she's actually going to pop out somewhere in front of us here, and they're all moving towards where she's going. But the bigger bull is what's upsetting the apple cart, so to speak. He's the one that's causing this movement of the herd. Whenever he comes round, all the young males move, all the females take a bit of a turn. So it seems like he is the sort of cause of a lot of the sort of frustration at this stage with some of the others out here. But she herself is not stressed with us as well. She's not showing any sign that she's in any way upset with us being close by to her or us being anywhere in the vicinity of the herd. The rest of the herd is not being aggressive to us. We have not seen ears flayed. We have not seen any signs of her sort of being stressed out with us as a sort of entity. So it really is just the most incredible behavior and something I really am not sure about. Now, Fang is quite far away, so if you do hear a bit of scratching and branches breaking, that's okay. I'm not going to be stressing her out too much. She's quite a long way away from where we are already. She's going back towards quarantine clearings now. The other thing about an elephant giving birth is I don't know that much about it, and not many people do, because it's not something you're going to be able to see every single day. And from what I've read about it and what I've seen in a lot of the videos I've watched and just kind of looking to research this kind of thing, that most elephants will spend time giving birth on roads and sandy areas and open areas. And we've seen her today. Every time she sits or squats, it's on a sandy road section or in the middle of the quarantine clearings. That's where she keeps kind of going to. So it's interesting behavior in that regard. And I honestly have no idea how else to explain this. I don't know what else it could be. I don't think she's ill. I don't think we need to be concerned that she's going to be sort of die from this, but it's definitely something is not 100% right, and it's not her normal behavior, and that's all I can really explain for sure. Now she's just here in front. Now here we go. So this is so beautiful because we've actually got a crescent moon above her at the moment, which is very pretty. Now I'm going to just try and see if we can't get, there we go. So she's just off to my side. So there's the crescent moon, and you can just make out Fang. Now unfortunately it's going to be a bit bright if we try and expose for her, because it will burn out the sky. But there we go, the crescent moon and the infrared light together, and there she is. As you see, she's starting to do that squat again a little bit. I would love to know. I would love to be able to talk to her now and know what's going on, and know if we should be very concerned or if that everything is going to be okay. It's really just such a difficult thing to be a part of. You, like I said, we shouldn't get emotionally invested because they are wild animals and we don't look after them in any way. But you do. We spend so much time with them, and in a way we do have a responsibility to look after them and to make sure that they're okay. As numbers of all of these species start declining in the world, it almost is our responsibility to make sure that these animals are in some way not distressed and are doing okay. So Mia, you're saying you wonder if they're getting urinary tract infections. Sorry, getting a bit tongue-tied there. I suppose it's possible, Mia. I don't know. Like I say, I mean, I'm not a vet, and so I don't really know a lot of the sort of diseases that elephants can suffer from. I just know that they are quite resilient animals, and in most of the time that I've spent with them, the only things that they really kind of can be susceptible towards is pretty much anthrax is a big one, and other than that, not very much at all. They seem to be sort of resilient to most of the others. Interestingly enough, there was an elephant that was found with TB recently in the Kruger National Park section, and the most interesting point about that is not uncommon for an elephant to show positive for TB, but the fact that the elephant was TB positive with human strain TB, which means it's come into contact with TB from a human somewhere. Now, I know this is a whole sort of situation, but that image there almost reflects the mood of the situation. Eerie dust around her with that glowing eye in these wooded thickets. There is just something about that picture that is kind of very, very fitting for the mood of what is going on. Now you see, look how she's raising her head, and that is because her bull is approaching her again. So you can see the bull is providing her an irritation more than anything else. She doesn't do that with us at all. It's just with this male when he comes along. But it would be interesting to know. I suppose that they should every now and then suffer from urinary tract infections, but at the end of the day, elephants are so resilient that they tend to be able to get over things like that. This to me is more something to do with a reproductive situation, or, like I say, a miscarriage or a birth that's not quite happening. I would say miscarriage because she's definitely not round enough to have a fully developed calf inside there, so miscarriage would be my guess. And like we say, we have found bits of placenta around, and Rexon and I were actually, funny enough, talking about it this morning, and we were saying that it could be an indication of a female that is having a problem with her birth, and this behavior that we're seeing right now is very indicative of something like that. So I reckon that is what is happening at the moment. It's something to do with the miscarriage. I just want to turn around. I'm not going to go too close to her while the bull's after her, but let's just turn. Right, so while we kind of just see how this all plays out for a little bit longer, let's go across to Jamie, who's driving into the sunset, and hopefully is going to have some good news for us at some stage.
I hope so too, Tristan. I hope at some point I will have good news. At the moment I don't. The lions did not make an appearance. There was absolutely no view of them. So we've decided to start heading back towards Djuma, since it is quite a long journey, And I have heard a report that there was a leopard around Gowrie, Maine, which is the southern boundary, and the road that we take, whoopsie, on our way home. The reason I say whoopsie and just turned off my lights was because there was a nightjar in the road. I wanted to make sure it didn't feel dazzled by our progress along this road or by the bright lights. It's the only time I've ever hit an animal was a nightjar on a dirt road. Not driving around a reserve like this, because we never ever go fast enough that we would do that. But driving between reserves late at night, they're difficult to see sometimes. I felt awful. You can't slam on the brakes when you're going 60 kilometers or 80 kilometers on a dirt road. Here it is. Hello. And of course, nightjars love to gather on the roads because there's all sorts of possibilities of insects fluttering about in the open space, so they can see them quite clearly. And at the same time, the road's quite warm as well. Our nightjar has the most massive gape. It's got this tiny looking little beak and an enormous mouth when it opens it wide, which they use as they soar through the air, and then you use it to swoop up and to catch insects. A massive gape for a bird that size. And you can actually, and I've seen it done in the past, I don't believe in it at all. You can actually, if you keep a spotlight on a bird like this, you can actually pick it up. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's ethical at all. But I have seen it done before. That's how dazzled they get by the spotlight. There's absolutely no reason to go and disturb a creature like that. But it does mean we have to be extra specially alert as we drive along. Okay, thank you, Nightjar. Switch off our lights and travel in the dark for a little bit on our way home. Of course, the problem is they then fly off and land back in the road straight away, which this one has not done. A clever Nightjar. I want to race back home and watch the footage of Fang. I'm desperate to see how it plays out, but I'm really curious to see exactly what's been going on. It sounds like the most amazing sighting. Okay. And Meg's just let me know that Tristan's made the call to leave the elephants for now. They're obviously moving off into dense vegetation, and the last thing he wants to do with an elephant that is a bit under the weather is frighten her in any way by following her off-road at night. No sign of quarantine, unfortunately. I've checked. It's very difficult when you don't know exactly where the animal was. I was given a rough idea, but I haven't found any tracks of him coming out. I think he's probably in that drainage line, but perhaps he'll pop out for tomorrow. I haven't had much luck with leopards recently, have I? Shadow this morning, quarantine this afternoon. It's alright, luck will turn. And Megs, just so you know, we're coming up to the lodge now. Oh, hello. Loud voices in my ear. We're going to be coming up to the lodge very shortly. Should we stop and look at the sunset and the moon? We shall definitely stop and have a look at the moon and the sky. Oh, Sarah, welcome to our sunset safari. I hope you found it incredible. While we watch the moon popping out, you want to know what the differences in temperature are for the different seasons here. Relatively drastic. During the summer months, the temperatures are usually during the day around about 35, sometimes over, like with the last year during the drought, they were in the mid-40s every single day, which is well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit every day. And the temperature doesn't drop much below around about 25 if you're lucky during summer at night. If you're not lucky, it sticks around 30, and we all sleep under wet towels and blankets. And then during winter, the days are still warm. They're still around the mid-20s, sometimes even up to 30. And then in the mornings, a very chilly, in midwinter, it's below 10 degrees centigrade, which for us is positively Arctic. I know that for many people that seems ridiculous, but for us it is very chilly. Although I've had many guests who have scoffed at the idea that it could possibly be cold here and have gone out, despite my warnings, unprepared on a morning drive. The wind chill factor is not to be scoffed at. And you've had to do a rapid return back to fetch a blanket. Okay, we're just going to zip through this Gremlin Hollow quickly. It sounds as though Tristan's had a very good idea, and he's going towards the hyena den.
Well, we've left Fang because she went into a thicket, and like I was saying earlier, I really didn't want to follow her through thick vegetation and cause any disturbance other than what she's already going through. So I felt it was better for us just to leave her, let her do her thing and carry on. She keeps trying to go back to quarantine, so I wouldn't be surprised she spends a lot of time there, and that herd is very close in the morning. And I definitely, first thing tomorrow morning, want to try and see if I can't find them and just see how she's doing and see it, hopefully that she's okay. That is got to be one of the most incredible elephant experiences of my life, and honestly I have no words ready to describe it. When it was just pulled away from the elephants now, I was saying to Genre that I actually at one point was getting speechless because I didn't really know what to say, and it was quite a moving sort of experience, I must be honest, and it was just something that I'll never ever forget, and that is one of the most special things to witness. And many of us will go many years without seeing anything like that behavior that we saw this afternoon, and being in sort of that proximity to an elephant herd is one of the most amazing things I've ever done. Genre was telling me at one point that his focus on her eye was at 1.5 meters, so that just gives you an idea of just how close she was to the side of the car at one point, and she was that close, and on the other side was the male at the same distance. So it was really just a mind-blowing experience, and something that we can probably never replicate. Now we are at the den, and the den is inactive. There is no little cubs around. They all seem to be inside, so we're going to carry on, especially with the fact that there's no Ribbon. If Ribbon was here, we would sit for a little bit longer, but if Ribbon's not around, we don't want to attract any attention to this mound whatsoever. We don't want to have a situation where other predators potentially see our lights and come and investigate, so we're definitely just going to carry on and slowly start making our way back home. But I thought we'd just come have a quick look after all of that emotion, just to try and see if we can't have a bit more of excitement at the den itself. And alas, I think the cubs have decided it's still time to be inside, and with Mom not around, you never know, maybe they've already come out and have left with Mom and are exploring a little bit. You sometimes don't know. And I think Ribbon's cubs are a little bit too small for that at this stage, but you sometimes see them kind of snooping about. And they might have heard the vehicle approaching and just gone back into the mound itself. And like I say, at dark, don't really want to spend too much time there and cause too much of a disturbance. During the day it's a little bit different, but at night don't want to do so. But wow, sure, what an afternoon. It was a sort of quietish start to the afternoon, and then that elephant herd, I'm so glad we actually went and decided to go to the elephant herd, because I was actually on my way to Arathusa to go and see what was going on there, and then we heard about the elephants at the dam cam, and like I say, I'm quite glad we went there. That was just amazing in every single way. Sure, I actually, like I say, I'm at a bit of a loss for words as to how to sort of describe that emotion and experience that we just went through. And I know it's not the most thrilling and exciting, and there is a concern there. It's just, yeah. So Susie, you say mind-blowing, and well, that's exactly what it was, Susie. It was mind-blowing, and there's no words that I think will describe that situation. If you had to tell somebody what you witnessed today and what we witnessed, it was just, I don't think there is a way to actually describe that. Now, there is something that is very cool, is the colors that are in the sky. Now, I know Jamie's shown you some of those colors, but that crescent moon is just amongst this marula with those beautiful sort of coloration. I'll put a bit of light onto the marulas just to light them up as well. Isn't that a seriously good way to end a day? What a beautiful scene. And there's the crescent moon just dipping through the boughs of that marula on its way down to the horizon. Very, very cool. Sure. So, Janning, you wonder if we ever go for drives after the sunset safari? Well, sometimes yes, because we have a number of crew members that are here, that are in the FC, like Megan, who's in FC today, and varying other staff members that don't get to go out and be privileged enough as what myself and Jandre are, to be out here every day and to experience what we experience every day. So for us, we end up in a situation where we become a little bit blasé about how amazing it is to be out here. And so sometimes for us it's important to get the rest of the crew out, get them to go and see some of the things. So if we know that there is something around, like let's say the Nkahuma Pride was around, then sometimes we will take them out and go and show them and let them experience what's going on, because it's vitally important that everybody that is part of the Safari Live team feels that they're part of the team and gets to experience the wonders of what we live every single day. So very, very important, and we do try and do it as much as we can. It obviously gets a bit hectic at times, and we sort of days go by before we actually do, but we try our very, very best to get it right and to get the crew out as much as possible. Right, lights back on. There we go. Spotlight, where are you? There we go. Right, so we're going to carry on and just see now if there is anything else that we can potentially find. You never know what could pop out at this hour. We know our last minute leopard Tingana likes to do it, so maybe we'll get lucky with him. While we do that, let's go across to Jamie, who's managed to bat off the gremlins and has found some decent signal.
I fought off the gremlins. It was a vicious, savage and brief fight where all I had to do was drive through a dip and out again. So all is well here, and as Tristan said, this is the most exciting time to drive around because you just never know what might pop out. I have promised Fergus a honey badger at some point. Well, I didn't promise, exactly. He requested a honey badger. There's a slight difference. You think I should respect your authority? Okay. Alright, Ferg. I'll see what I can do, seeing as I've seen one honey badger in about a year. That was the other day, and that was very exciting. And it is winter, so we do see more. Just check up the road behind me. I once made a very sad mistake. I once did this, turned onto a road and I didn't check the road behind me. There was somebody else traveling shortly 5 minutes behind me, and they had a leopard walk. So always check the junctions if you're turning. I was very embarrassed and quite heartbroken. What have we got here? Just turn my... Oh, whoops. I was busy concentrating on turning my side lights off because of the daycare that was next to the road. But it has run away, and my birds have flown away. It was a pair of bronze-winged coursers, by the way. Woof! Getting chilly. Susie, at least Susie included the hee-hee at the end of that. Susie would like a caracal, a honey badger, or a civet. We'll see what we can do. You never know. Every time I go onto Cheetah Plains now, and every time I pass the spot where Taylor saw the caracal, I find myself double-checking just in case it's still there. Even though I know the likelihood is so slim. But indeed, let us see if we can find a civet, a caracal, or a honey badger. If you're going to spot something like a chameleon, never mind. Right, let's find Fergus a good place here. Here we go. They're still out. It's so late into the season. That is a chameleon, right? I'm not imagining things. It's a chameleon. Thank goodness for that. It would have been very embarrassing if it was just an oddly shaped leaf. There we go. I was about to say the trick for spotting smaller things is to move your spotlight quite fast. The trick for spotting chameleons is to not overthink it. If you look for chameleons, you're going to see them in every single tree. But if you let your brain just pick up on something odd, you'll spot one. Mia, you wanted to see a chameleon. There you go. With pleasure. You asked, and we have provided. Doesn't often work like that. So we'll definitely enjoy this particular moment. I've noticed that the vast majority of my chameleon sightings at the moment have been on either large fruited bush willows or variable bush willows, which is just I don't know if we've really got enough to actually had enough chameleon sightings to draw a conclusion. But I wonder why that might be. I wonder if they don't choose these trees to sleep in. Because I think, now thinking back on it, I think every single one of my chameleon sightings in this work cycle has been on one of those two trees. And they do have quite large leaves. Perhaps it works better for camouflaging at night. Because I've gone back several times on bushwalk to where I've had a chameleon the night before, and I've never managed to find it again. I'm surprised, though, to see one this late into the season. It's cold. I would have expected them to be estivating, but maybe the late rains has kept them out a bit longer, because the late rains would probably have kept the insects around a bit more, and the moths. And that, of course, is the chameleon's primary diet. With a sticky, elastic tongue that shoots out and grabs whatever they happen to set their eyes upon. Definitely far more chameleon sightings than last year. I wonder which chameleons we're going to see in the Mara. I wonder how many chameleons we're going to see in the Mara. Seems to be a relative shortage of trees there. The open plains. But they must be there. Cool. That was a very nice surprise and a nice way to end off our portion of the Sunset Safari. It's time for Ferg and myself to head on home, so we'll send you across to Tristan so he can wrap up the Sunset Safari.
Well, indeed, Jamie, and we've found ourselves back on quarantine and just reflecting upon a wonderful afternoon and wonderful day, really, in the sort of Djuma Game Reserve. It's been absolutely fantastic, and it's been a real sort of treat. And you can see the moon itself is almost a perfect thing to reflect upon. So just to sit and watch this moon slowly dropping is really quite something. And you can actually see the halo of the moon on the outer edge there, which is really cool. It's not something you always see, and it amazes me the technology that we have these days, that you can get that picture in the pitch sort of black. You can see the sort of moon rim, and you can actually make out the sort of dark side of the moon to some degree. Now I can actually hear Fang's herd, and the elephants are not too far from quarantine here. There we go. It sounds like they're going down towards the dam cam, and you can see we're just sitting in absolute darkness at the moment and just enjoying the last little bit and sounds of the evening. And she's started to trumpet, and there's quite a bit of talking going on. So dam cam will be a really good place to watch tonight for those of you that are going to be on Dam Cam. I would imagine that there will be quite a bit to watch there, and maybe you guys can monitor Fang and see how she goes, and so for tomorrow morning we will be able to follow up on her. Now, also talking about tomorrow, please remember everyone that we are doing a fireside chat to celebrate Karula, so that will be at 5:45 Central Africa time, so you can join us, and myself, Jamie and James will go through some of the highlights we've had, as well as other highlights that we've had with Karula over the years. It's been an absolute treat to follow her. Now, it's that time of the day, unfortunately, that we are going to start to say our goodbyes. It's been an absolute incredible journey to have you with us. I hope you've really enjoyed that elephant sighting as much as Chandra and I have. It was probably one of the most special experiences of my life, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning on our sunrise safari. So from Jamie and myself, goodbye everybody, we'll see you in the morning.